Hi everybody, I'm really excited to be here today with you and talk about some of the catching drills that we do at the University of New Haven. I have a lot of slides in here, so I'm going to go quickly, but if you have any questions, my contact number is on the screen right there, so feel free to contact me with any of your questions. So we talk about our drills three different ways. The first one is a fundamental skill. That's our basic skill. This is where we establish and train good mechanics, good posture, and good positioning. And then we're going to move our skills towards what we call an open skill. This is when we're going to add a stressor. So we're changing the speed of the drill. We're putting them maybe in an uncomfortable start position and asking them to get back to a good posture. Or we're adding a different kind of focus, something for them to be distracted with. And the last skill that we're talking about is a complex skill. So this is where we're going to take multiple skills, put them together, ask the kids to make multiple decisions. This should be something that's a little bit faster than game speed, so that the game speed seems pretty slow when they get to that point. So the first thing we're going to start with every day is our joint mobility warm-up. We implemented this with our strength coaches last year, and we feel like we had some really good results in getting our catchers into better positioning and better posture to do some of the receiving and throwing drills that we were asking them to do. So the first one that we're looking at here is a pup ankle rock. What we're going to do is we're going to have our back heel to the ground. We're going to bend and straighten that back leg, and we're going to work on stretching the Achilles with that one. This next one is the wall ankle rock. So again, we're going to keep that back heel on the ground. We're going to take our knee and try to move it over our toe towards the wall. This next one is a half knee banded ankle mobility. So we're going to take the band and put it right above the ankle joint. They're in a lunge position, and you're just going to rock that knee forward while trying to keep good posture with our upper back and our shoulders. Then we're going to move into some hip mobilities. The first one that we're going to do is a rock back. You're going to have the knees outside the toe and heels to the ceiling. What she's going to do is she's going to rock back and sit into her heels as much as she can and open up that hip joint. Then we're going to do some split squat rock back. So they're in a split stance. Heel is in line with the left knee right here. And we want the heel to stay down the whole time that we're doing this while she's rocking back. The next one that we're going to do is a split squat hip swivel. So we're rotating the heel to the ceiling, and we're trying to open up that ball and socket joint. The next one is a half kneeling band hip rotation. We're working on keeping good posture. The heel stays down during this activity, and we're going to rotate externally. The next one we're doing is our alternating spider women. So we're working on getting our foot up to our hand each time, and then pushing our hands down, our hips down, and getting our chest up. We're going to alternate each leg each time. The next one we're going to do is a groiner. So we're in the push-up position again. Both feet come up to the hands, and then we're going to sink the hips in and get our chest up. This should be done dynamically, and this is a great one for catchers to work on getting into that good position and posture. The next one that we're going to do is our banded hip swivels. So we're working on staying real low into a good 90-degree squat, and then we're moving really fast to rotate those hips to both sides. Then we're going to move into our T-spine mobility. We're going to start with a T-spine windmill. We're going to lie on our side with our knee bent over at 90 degrees. The left leg stays out straight. We're going to start with our hands together, and we're going to rotate, trying to keep our shoulders square to the floor all the way over. Our eyes should follow our hand in this. And that's just a view of the other side. Then we're going to get into a three-point T-spine rotation. So we have 3 points of contact, 2 knees and 1 hand. We're going to put our hand behind our head. And again, our eyes are going to follow our elbow, and we're going to keep our lower back rigid. And the last one is our pretzel stretch. So this kind of incorporates all of them in the middle. So we're going to get a quad stretch with that back leg. She's got that into a quad stretch. We're going to drive the opposite leg over and pull it up. And then our shoulders will stay square to the ground so that we're getting a little bit of stretch and mobility in each of the joints that we just worked through. Okay, we're going to get into some of our receiving drills. So the first one is pretty basic. It's wall ball. We're going to take a tennis ball. You can use any kind of bouncy ball. Coach is going to be behind the catcher. She's going to vary her tosses from side to side, and we're asking our catcher to react to the ball, react to which side it's on, make the receive in a good posture, nice and quiet with a strong arm. We're going to advance this drill by putting a tape line across on the wall. So this is wall ball, block, or receive. What we're doing is we are tossing the ball either above or below the line. If it's above the line, then we're asking her to receive it with good posture. If it's below the line, then we're asking her to block. So now we've made the drill a little bit more difficult by asking her to make a decision on whether the ball is above or below the line, and then receive and move to the right direction if it's below the line for a block. Then we're going to move to another one that's pretty easy and basic for us. We're doing a weighted arm receive. So what we're doing is we're putting a weighted band on her arm, on the glove arm, and she's just working on her receiving skills. So there's a little extra view of where the band is. It's just a regular band that we have in our training room. So we can do this as a drill right here like we have it, or one place that we really like to do this is in the bullpen. So catchers are getting something out of the work. You know, obviously they should be getting something out of catching for the pitchers at any point, but this is a way for them to get a little extra work. They can really work on their receiving and sticking good positioning while the pitchers are throwing their different pitches, and get a little more out of it because it's weighted. The next one we're going to do is the weighted ball receive. So it's same kind of concept. Instead, this time we're just using a heavier ball, weighted ball. So we're looking them to get to a good position, good posture, and keep a really still glove. It's a heavier ball, so they have to work a little harder to do that. The next one we're doing is multi-weighted ball receiving. So we're using all different balls, overside ball, zip ball, and then you're going to see a weighted ball here, and you can see the difference, how that glove sagged right there. So once they get those heavier balls, we're looking for them not to have as much motion as she's had in the last couple. Our catching consultant, Darcy, comes in. She's going to talk to her about it a little bit. Then we're ready to go. There's a weighted ball, so we're doing a better job sticking it. But using balls a different weight just kind of makes them focus. Obviously, the lighter balls and the regular balls should be a little bit easier for them. And then you mix in a different weight, and then so that's the focus, is to make sure even when you get a different weight, a heavier weight, that you're able to keep a real quiet glove and not let it sink at all. The next one we're going to do is multicolor ball receive. So we're throwing 2 balls at the same time. These are just soft, squishy balls with different colors. We're going to throw both at the same time, and then I'm going to call out a color. So whichever color I'm calling out is the one that she wants to be focusing on during this drill. When they get real good at that, you can make it 3 balls, and you can advance it every way you want, but it just kind of changes the focus on what they're looking at. So they have to identify the ball that they want to catch and then get to a good receiving position with it. So the next one that we're going to do is rise and receive. And what we're doing here is we're asking them to start in an uncomfortable position and then get to the good posture that we're looking for. So we're going to start her in a push-up position. We're using the machine to feed all these drills, but you can use whatever you want. You can use a coach tossing. You can use other catchers tossing for drills if they're working on their own. You can go off live pitching if you want. It's all based on what you need that day and what level your catchers are at. So we're putting her in a push-up position. As she gets up, I'm going to feed the ball into the machine, and then we're going to ask her to quickly get to a good receiving posture and be nice and quiet in her movements and stick the pitch. The next one that we did is hop around. So they're just working back and forth. This is a good one to get explosive and get some training in our legs right here. So they're moving back and forth, and when they hear us feed the ball into the machine, when the ball's ready to come out, they're going to freeze on whatever side they're at, and then they're just going to get to a good receiving position for wherever that ball ends up based on the position that they ended up in their hop. The next is double or nothing. So we're going to feed 2 balls rapid fire to the catcher. We're going to ask them to get to that good receiving position on the first one. If they're in a really good position and good posture, then the ball should come right back to the catcher in the same position. So she's going to get it right there, not have to move at all, keep the glove nice and still, and stick it again. The next one we're going to do is how close can you get? So we feed a ball, they get to a really good position, then they're going to move forward. Get to a good receive, move forward, closer, receive, move forward, closer. So what we're working on right here is reaction time. So as they get closer, they're going to have to work quicker to get to that good receiving position. And the velocity of the ball is coming faster, so that it's a little more force, and they're going to have to work harder to be able to stick that with a nice quiet arm and quiet glove that doesn't move. Then we're going to work rapid fire with a task. So we're going to shoot 4 balls in this one. You can shoot as many as you want in a row, but we're going to shoot 4 in a row. On the 4th one, after they're working on staying nice and quiet, then we add a task. The task here is a throw. So I'm going to yell 1, 2, or 3, and whichever base I yell out, they're going to make a throw to that base. You can change this one up and yell a base at any point during the 4 balls, so they're reacting in different time and they're not sure when it's happening, to make it a little more game-like. Then we're going to move through some of our blocking drills. The first one is follow the leader. It's a way to kind of take your dry blocks and make it a little more interesting for them. We're going to put out different cones. One of the catchers is going to be the leader, so she gets to decide which cone she's going to move to first, right or left. It's her decision. The other catcher is going to try to beat her to that position once she knows which side she's moving to. So when she sees her first initial move, she's going to try to react quicker. So we're working on explosiveness because there's a little bit of competition to this, where they have to try to beat their partner, and if they're the leader, then obviously they don't want to get beat because they get to make the first move. The next one we're going to do is a med ball bounce. So you can certainly use this for a little bit of conditioning or a circuit if you get them going for 30 seconds or so and they're moving quickly. It definitely takes a lot of work. But one of the things that we like about this drill is we talk a lot about putting the ball down with our belly button on a block so that we can control it and keep it in front of us. So the deeper that we're letting the ball get and using our belly button as opposed to our upper shoulders and mask, the more control we have over the ball so it stays in front of us, we can make a throw if a runner's deciding to move from there. So with this med ball, it's big, it's heavy. They don't like it when it hits them up high in the shoulders. They don't have as easy a time controlling it. They certainly don't like when it gets them in the mask. So this is a good one to work on letting that ball get deep into the belly button. Next one is half block. So we talk a lot about getting our glove down first and our feet will follow. It's a little simpler for our catchers sometimes than talking about which foot's going to push and which one's going to go. So the catcher starts with their knees or with up in like a little bit of a squat and their glove on the ground, and then they're just going to block down to the ball. Now our first catcher, Britt, did a great job with that. If you watch Sam here, she's going to get a little lazy. She doesn't start on the ground. So we're going to make an adjustment right here. I'm going to talk to her about it. She's going to get that glove down. This one's going to be really good. Gets right to it. And then if you watch on this one, glove's going to come up and knees are going to come up. So that's what we're trying to avoid because that leaves an open hole. If our timing is bad, the ball's certainly going by. But then if we look here again at Britt, she's doing a great job. So glove goes down and then feet will follow. Next one is reverse crop top, and we are feeding this out of the machine. You might want to turn it down a little bit until you get pretty good at it. But what we're doing is we're cutting off the top of the chest protector so that we're really focusing on what I was talking about earlier, where we're trying to use our belly button to control the ball and have that be where the ball bounces into, that belly button area, so that we can use our chest to keep it down and keep it close to us. So we're doing this both with a glove and a flat hand. I like it a little bit more with the flat hand because then they're not thinking about trying to catch the ball or pick the ball. They're just working on the really good glove mechanics. Blocking mechanics. The next one we're going to do is rise and block. So same as rise and receive, except now we're going from the push-up position, and then we're there as soon as they start getting up, then we're going to feed the machine. And they're getting up to a good position and then trying to find that good blocking posture. So again, it's just speeding it up a little bit, putting them in a position that they're uncomfortable with, and having them find good posture in their movement. Then we're going to go to block to double block. So what she's going to do is she's going to get out to block on the first ball, and then if we're in a good position again, then we should be able to do the same mechanic. So as she blocks to the side and gets out there to stop this ball, She's just going to hold that position. We're going to ask her to pick her chest up a little bit so that she could work on getting it down and using good timing to put that ball back down. We're going to go to hop and block it. So we're putting the catcher on the side that the ball is coming to. They're going to hop in, and then we're asking them to hop back out or push back out to make that block. What we're doing here is we're emphasizing that push in the leg. We're trying to make it explosive. So when they hop, they have to really push back to get to it because they know the ball's coming after they hop. So they're going to work on being quick and explosive back to that side. So we're trying to get that feel of pushing off of the opposite leg to get out to the side that we want to go to. Hat trick blocking is we're going to do 3 blocks in a row. So we have 3 plates out. We feed 1, 2, 3. They're going to make a block at each plate. They're going to try to stay in their legs to do this without putting their hands down or anything to move explosively through. As they get good at it, we want to get quicker and quicker about making the block at each plate. Then we're going to advance this drill by adding a task into it. So we're going hat trick with throw. They're going to block, block, and then we're going to yell out a base for them to throw to. Now, it doesn't have to be the 3rd plate. You can have them throw at any of the plates that you want to. You can switch up whichever base they're going to throw to. As they get good at it, you want to not tell them which plate that they're going to throw from, so it's more game-like where they don't know when the runner is going, but they know that they have to be ready for it each time. Then we're going to move into some of our throwing drills. What we're going to start with is just transfers. So we're putting them in a good position where they can just receive it and get a little bit of a shoulder turn to receive. So we're working on getting that glove pinky up to their throwing hand. Then we're going to get them on their feet because obviously we're going to throw from our feet at some point. So we're trying to go rapid fire. The quicker we can get the balls to them, the quicker that we make them work. Once they're getting good at that, we can add in a throw. So they do that, and they don't know which time I'm going to yell it out. So that was on the 3rd time that time instead of the 4th, and then she's going to catch her 4th ball. Then we're going to work from our knees because we want to give them tools to be able to do this from their feet or from their knees. So now we're working on just on the hand transfer up top and getting that knee in and our shoulders turned to be in good position to make that throw down from our knees. Once we warmed up our transfers, this drill is T-throws. It's a good drill to get them to think about being in the middle of their body when they receive. If you have a catcher that's really reaching for the ball with their glove, this is a good one because it keeps them thinking about catching it in towards them and getting to their midline. So they can work on their footwork towards whichever base. You can have them set up for any base in this drill. Once they've gone through it a bunch of times, you can advance it by, while they're going through it, say go through 3-4 times, you yell out a base for them to make a throw to during this drill. The last one that we're doing is QB throws. So they're going to catch the ball and they're going to drop like a football quarterback, 3-step drop. Once they get to that 3rd drop, the weight should be in their back foot, and we're really looking for that feel on the transfer back. So they're going to get that weight into their back leg right here. She's going to drop 1, 2, 3. You can see the weight in that back leg, and then she's going to be real explosive moving forward. So this is sometimes we go right at the ball when we catch it, and we just try to move forward right away to be quick. But we want to keep some of that transfer so that we can use our core, we can use our legs to make the throw. So this really works on that feel of being in our back leg and then quickly transferring it forward. Okay, some plays at the plate. So the first one we're going to do is don't obstruct. We're going to put our ball buckets in the line that we don't want them to be in the runner's lane, so that they start thinking about how to move to get this ball. Now you can have one person throwing it in, coaches throwing it in, or you can do it live with your regular infield or outfield throws into the plate and cutoff plays. So what we're doing is catchers sometimes think that they have to stay at the plate for that play. So we're asking them to think early about whether that throw is offline, and if it is, getting up the line without being in the base path. So if they run into the buckets, obviously they're in the base path, but it makes them think about moving quicker, being on the balls of their feet and reacting to the throw and then getting in there for a tag. You can advance this drill. Right here we had her pop into position to make a secondary throw, but you can have your infielders out there and yell out different bases for them to make the tag and then make a secondary play. The next one that we did is incoming. So this is to simulate a play at the plate with the runner coming into them. This is not a high percentage play. You don't see a ton of these plays in a game, but it's a play that matters a lot because if they don't complete that catch and tag, obviously a run could score, and we want to be able to train this. So again, this can be throws coming in from your outfield, or it can just be coaches throwing it in or hitting it in if you want to simulate a one hop. But what you're doing is you're having someone time it up and roll that ball in, sometimes a little early, sometimes a little later, sometimes right at the same time. But it's a way for them to deal with a distraction with something coming home at them without having any injuries with having your runners come in and collisions at the plate. So it's a nice, safe way to be able to practice this, and it makes them nervous enough that they'll miss, obviously you see in there, but it also adds enough pressure without having any injuries. So incoming 2 is a similar idea. What we're using now this time is a football agility. It's a little more like simulating someone that would be coming sliding in because they're lower. So we're doing the same thing. There's our catcher Sam. She finally caught one, so she's going to Gronk spike it right there. We also use this for slide bias. So you can simulate that a little bit more. You can toss it so that it's away from the plate a little bit more. And this is a good point for us to talk about not chasing the runner when they try to slide by. They have to come back into the backside of the plate. So making sure that our catchers come back to the back of the plate for the tag instead of chasing them, which they're looking for so that they can get around us. Then we're going to go into some pop-up drills. So we've had a hard time with some of our pop-ups that get real high up in the air. So we try to create this drill to work on that. So what we noticed is that when a pop-up goes up real high, our catchers are working real hard to get under it as fast as they can. When they get under it, though, they're not waiting for it to get to its peak. So if they're under it before it gets to its peak, when it starts coming down, it's really hard for them to decide which direction the ball's coming in. So they might think that they're under it, but as it gets closer and closer, it's going to be to the side of them, behind them, or too far in front. So what we're doing here is we're asking them to get up, find it, but not really move under it until it's hit its peak. Once it's hit its peak, we're asking them to let the ball fall right in front of them as close as they can. So it could be brushing their mask or coming down and like brushing against their chest as it comes down. What we're doing with this is we're waiting for it to get the peak, so it's like a car coming at you. If you're right in front of the car that's coming at you, it's hard to judge the speed and the direction it's going to take. If we're off to the side of that car, we can see it a little bit better. So by letting it find its peak first, we can line ourselves up so that it's going to fall in front of us each time. And by not catching it, what we're doing is making sure that it's going to land right in front of them, right by their nose, like we said. And if they're having a hard time with this drill, when they think that they're in a good position, what you might see is that it lands off way to the side, have their helmets on. We don't want it to hit them in the head if they really misjudge it. Or it could be behind them. That's when you get that really awkward play that everyone holds their breath and they're under it, and then they almost fall backwards trying to catch it because it's more behind them than they thought. The next one we're doing is twice is not as nice. So we're trying to simulate some of those small pop-ups that you might get off like a bunt attempt or a kind of a squib hit that's really hard for a coach to mimic off a fungo or anything like that. So I'm going to stand behind the catcher. I'm going to toss the ball up. As soon as they see it, they can start moving. It's going to bounce once, but we don't want it to hit a second time, so they're going to try to catch it before the second bounce. This is a good one to get your catchers to start thinking about diving. They don't work on that as much to the sides or in front, and it's a quick movement for them. So we're asking them to get a good approach where they're kind of moving as an airplane, like starting low, staying low, and going up on a descent instead of more like a helicopter that just stands right up. Pop up with chaos. So we're using a push-up position, but you can use all kinds of different ways to do this. So they're in a push-up position. We're going to feed the ball into the machine for the pop-up. They're going to get up and try to find it and catch it. So this is just, adding a little bit of a stressor to them. They're not sure where it is because they don't see it right away. So they have to locate it, find it, and pop up. You can put them in different positions. You can have them start with their eyes closed. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this. If your catchers have a real hard time reading the ball off the bat, you can use your pitcher or some of your infielders to start pointing so that they're used to getting a look at the infielder to decide which direction it's going to go to. And the last couple drills that we're going to talk about are our combo drills. So with these, we're looking at complex skills now, where we're really adding a lot of stressors. We're asking them to do multiple skills, and we're trying to make them do more things than they would ever do in a game situation. So the first one is Simon Says. We're using a max BP for this with different colored golf wiffles. But again, all you need is different colored balls to do this drill. So what we're doing is we're asking her to receive all of them. If they're a white ball, she's putting in one bucket. If it's one of the colored balls, she's going to put in the other. So she has to think about what she's doing besides just receiving. And then we have the magic green ball. So anytime she gets the green ball, she's going to pop up into a good throwing position. So you can use whatever test you want. We're using a throw here, but they're doing multiple things, making multiple decisions, and then we have that game-like aspect where you don't know when that green ball's coming, when that runner is going to go, but we're ready for it, and we're going to pop up to make a good throw. The next one we're doing, our bases are juiced. So what I want you to see is we have a runner on each base, and we have our infield out there. This is a great drill for both base running and for catcher to work with our catchers, so we kind of get both out of this. What we're doing is the pitcher is going to throw any of their pitches. If the catcher can receive the ball in the air without it hitting the dirt, then they're working their pickoff plays to first or third. Ideally, you'd have a batter in there, but we didn't want to block the running lane so you couldn't see what was happening. If the ball is in the dirt, then they are throwing to either second or third. So we're telling our runners, if the ball's in the dirt, I want to see you try to get to second base on this. Or if the ball's in the dirt, I want to see you try to get to third base on this. The runners at third, obviously, are waiting to see if the catcher makes a block, and if the ball gets by them, then they're rushing home. And the pitcher would be moving in to see if they can get a play at the plate. So again, if the ball is in the air, what we're looking for is for them to get a throw, pickoff throw to first or third, and see if they can get the runner. If the ball's in the dirt, then they're choosing which base they want to throw to, either second or third. This is a good drill for them to try to figure out, take a look ahead of time, see what the speeds of the runner are. If the ball's in the dirt, I need to throw from my knees here. If the ball's in the dirt, I have time to get up on my feet. If the ball is in the dirt, I shouldn't make a throw because I know what speed that runner is. And then it makes them think, too, because they don't know which ball is coming, whether it will be in the dirt or whether it will be in the air. So they have to adjust and decide whether they're making a throw down for a steal or a pickoff play. The last one that we're going to do is the whole shebang. So with this is we're incorporating multiple skills in for the catcher to complete all at once. So this is a good way to showcase the catcher in practice. Sometimes we don't do a lot of things where they get to be the spotlight of practice unless we're really mindful in the way that we're planning our practices, especially if we have smaller staffs. So the catcher is getting a lot of work in because they're using multiple skills here, but they're making throws to different bases and receiving different throws. So you also can get a lot of work for your infielders and outfielders out of this because the throws to secondary plays can go to the infielders, and you can incorporate the outfielders with throws to the plate on this. So this was the last drill of the day. Don't look at the skill as much as the content because my catchers are getting a little tired at this point. So what she's going to do is she's going to get a block from our pitcher. She's going to make a throw down to second base. She's going to pop up. Our outfielders are throwing home. Secondary throw down to third. She's going to get a pop-up. I told you we're not so hot at this, so don't look at that. There we go. We're going to get back, field a bunt, throw it down to first base, and then we get a wild pitch right here because we don't have pass balls at New Haven. The pitcher gets in for a tag play at home. And that is the whole shebang, and that is the end of my presentation. Again, here's my contact information. If you have any questions or you would like these slides, please let me know, and I'd be happy to send them to you. Thank you very much.